Hey, LeoSyron's here from the gaming generation. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a few days away. And while I believe it's going to set a new ground to the Zelda games, I thought I should bring out to you a list of my top 5 Zelda titles so far. This way we can all remember what made us love this franchise so much, as we take a glance at the past releases. Now, Zelda is probably my favorite franchise, but even so, I haven't played all the games on it to the end. Also, this list represents my personal humble opinion, so if you disagree with this list, I may not have played one of your favorite Zelda games, or I simply think differently than you. Please do not be offended. You can take a look at what games I have played from start to finish on the screen now. I won't consider Ocarina of Time nor Majora's Mask on this list. They would top it. But Ocarina of Time has been praised for a long time, if it still isn't as one of the best games ever made. And Majora's Mask has a pretty strong reputation too. So, instead of praising even more these god-tier titles, I'll leave them out. Also, I will point out my 2 favorite and my 2 most hated things of each game on this list. There might be spoilers on each game, so I will put an indication on the screen in case you want to skip to the next title and avoid that. Here we go. The 5th place goes to Link's Awakening. Initially created by Nintendo employees after their work hours as a mock project, this title got approval from the higher-ups to be officially launched. But that was not enough to make the team take this seriously, at least as far as storytelling goes. Not that the main story hasn't got a profound feeling to it, but several game details and characters seem to be there just to make jokes. I think they balanced that seriousness and the mockery very well. What do I dislike about Link's Awakening? Well, first of all, the overworld level design. Call me a scrub if you want, but I really got lost a few times in this game's overworld. I played it after I had already played several games on the franchise, including the first Zelda and A Link to the Past. So I was already experienced in exploring the world from a top-down perspective, but the way this world is structured, its level design, doesn't feel very solid. Many areas look indistinctive from others in that they don't have a very unique feature that helps you to situate yourself on the map, and thus exploring becomes a bummer, a real bummer. Secondly, the item selection interface is very distressing. I understand they were working with only 2 action buttons in this title, A and B of the Game Boy, but even so, I can't help but think they could have come up with something better than the confusing and slow item selection method of this game, if at least each item occupied a fixed space on the menu. But even that wouldn't have been enough to make this work well. Now, what I really like about this game, firstly, is the Gloob Gloob fish. What is the Gloob Gloob fish? Well, this game is crazy from start to finish. But what really makes it over the top is the nonsensical details scattered throughout its world, like random Mario characters minding their business in a Zelda game. Among all that craziness, the one thing that endears me the most is a fish that teaches you a song. However, should you ever visit him before getting your ocarina, he'll say something like, "Sorry, you don't have an ocarina, so gloob gloob." Yes, so gloob gloob. That simple, silly line felt so random that it's the most remarkable thing of this game to me. It's a little stupid, but hey, that's why I find it so funny. And what I like the most about this game is the plot twist. And this is huge spoilers. Seeing the island you spent the whole game on vanish at the end of it along with all the characters you loved and hated, feels a little sorrowful. But, you know, that sorrow only exists if you enjoyed that world. It's a proof that you've been there, and though your best efforts didn't have a comfortable outcome, you did what you had to do. Such bittersweetness actually feels good. And number 4 is Skyward Sword. So Zelda was getting one-on-one sword motion controls. While it has been said for a long time that such control scheme would really take the franchise to the next level, in the end many fans actually disliked it. I am not among those people. I feel this title is so much more than that. It tells the earliest story of the known timeline. We get to see Demise's or Ganon's spirit, origins, and we get a closer appeal to the relationship between Link, Zelda, and even the Master Sword. What I don't like this game? Well, there is the little enemy variety. I bet you thought I'd talk about the sword controls, huh? But they didn't bother me except when I was trying to trust my blade. But nevertheless, it really bothered me that everywhere you go in this game, there is a bunch of bokoblins waiting for you. It's not like they didn't make more enemies. It's just that apparently they had a hard-on for this one. All the other enemies appear way less than the bokoblins. It feels like a waste. I got tired of looking at those humanoid pigs way before halfway through the game, and I can't think on a excuse on why they did that. It sucks. Another thing that really bothers me about Skyward Sword is Demise's and the Imprisoned's design. I'll be blunt. The Imprisoned's design feels too uninspired, simplistic, and somehow cartoonish for the role it plays in the story of the whole franchise. Demise looks just like Oni or Akuma from the Street Fighter series. A very important villain for the whole Zelda universe had a very sloppy design. How they'd let that happen? Really, this is a shame. But hey, this game shines too. Aside from the story, which I happen to like a lot, there are two other things that really get me motivated to play this game again. Firstly, there is the bow controls. While the motion controls dedicated to the sword usage in this game cause a lot of controversy and divided opinions, which is just what implementing a drastic new function to a classic franchise does, I can say that the motion controls applied to the bow were really spot on. The Wiimote has always been great for pointing and shooting at the screen, but Nintendo had already created a control scheme for a bow with the Motion Plus in Wii Sports Resort. But it was in Skyward Sword that I felt that they really achieved the best gameplay of this kind. You really feel like you're pulling the string of the weapon, aiming, and releasing the arrow. And secondly, and most certainly not least, there is Zelda's look and personality. All Zelda games build the relationship between Link, or the player, and Zelda differently. I must say that the childhood friend approach from Skyward Sword was one that really captivated me. Here, Zelda is a playful, sweet girl that has known Link for their entire lives. This made me feel very connected to her, and I really got fired up when I had to stop Girahim from using her on a ritual later in the game. It felt like saving a real friend, not like saving a plot device. Also, Zelda's sky garments really catch my eye too. The third spot goes to Wind Waker. At first, lots of fans were angry. They wanted a realistic looking Zelda game just as shown in the GameCube tech demo on Space World 2000. But after the game's release, the world could taste the appeal of cartoonish visuals and playstyle in a Zelda title. Toon Link conquered the hearts of many with his expressiveness and proved that deep storylines can be told with what seems to be a playful art style. And I must say that I really dislike that there is no effective way to track your side quest progress here. What I mean by that is, after you do a mission from a map you get, there is no clear indication of completion of that task. If you turn the game off for a while and come back to it, you can have a hard time getting situated on each of your side quests. Also, I've gotta talk about the giant ocean. It is notorious that the Great Ocean in this game is way too expensive for comfort. While navigating in the sea may give you a sense of adventure as you discover what types of islands are scattered through the world, the amount of time this game forces you to spend there between one objective and the next one is way too long. They fixed it in the Wii U's version though. Now, among the things I like about this game, there is, in contrast to Skyward Sword, very big enemy variety. Among all Zelda games, I feel Wind Waker has one of the biggest and probably the richest variety of enemies to fight. Almost every place has a unique set of foes waiting to get ya, and each one of them must be approached differently in combat. This makes a good use of the highly dynamic battle mechanics of this title, which is another thing I like a lot about it too. And my other favorite thing in Wind Waker is the storytelling. I remember the first time I saw the intro story for this game. It gave me shivers. For real. This and the dialogues near the end of the game give a feeling of legacy inside that world. You are fighting an ancient battle. Your foe has reincarnated several times, and now you must not fail the world like the previous hero did by his absence. And the number 2 is A Link Between Worlds. You know how Nintendo loves to innovate. Most often, they tend to bring innovation to their classic franchises. When they do that, they also try to mix nostalgia to the freshness of the new approach they are giving to something we already love. But sometimes that ends up wrong. Like some sort of control scheme that just doesn't work well, or they create a new absurd concept that is so odd they'd have better invented another franchise for it. But A Link Between Worlds is a game that blends what made an original game good and the new elements so well that the final product really shines. Well, what I don't like about this game, there is the Majora's Mask mockery. When this game was released, fans have already been asking for a remake of Majora's Mask in a while. Nintendo eventually released such remake, also on 3DS, but nobody knew that it was even going to happen when A Link Between Worlds came out in 2013. In order to play with the fans' expectations, they put the Majora's Mask on the wall of a house in the game's world. You can merge with the wall and pose as if you were wearing the mask. This was a playful mockery, but it really got me some sort of bad anxiety over whether or not we would be having the remake at the time. And also, I don't like that you can't play a musical instrument there. I am not one to usually rant over the lack of something I wanted if the said game is already a well-finished product like this one. But I really believe that playing an ocarina here would be beyond awesome. And also, I couldn't think of another flaw in this game while writing the script, so I had to come up with something. But in this game I really like the controls. A Link Between Worlds is somehow based on A Link to the Past for Super Nintendo. The original game had already broken the ground in top-down view adventure games with its fluid controls and diagonal movement. And this one took it all a few steps further. The commands are really responsive, the animations are fluid, you really feel the impacts of things. It all sums up for a great experience. And I really gotta say that I love the art style. I always loved the visuals from A Link to the Past, the 90s anime style Link. Those visuals, represented so well in 3D, really shone to me. That made the general character designs here really appealing for fans of that art style, like me. Now, what game must be the number one? Can you guess? Can you guess? Well, here we go! The number one is Twilight Princess. Well, I must say that I played the GameCube version, okay? After making the colorful and vibrant world of Wind Waker, Zelda makers decided to take a darker approach on the franchise. Twilight Princess tells the story of many people in dismay, and the quest of a hero to prove that determination can take you far, while inspiring others to overcome their own fears. Now, what's not so good about this game is, firstly, for me, following the sense as a wolf. Well, here my main issue is the Twilight Realm was already an unsettling place. But to top it, they made it so that you had to spend most of your initial visits there using the Wolf's Sense mode, where almost everything on the screen turns dark and you follow almost blindly a trail of smell on the floor. I swear to you, the contrasts on the screen gave me headaches. I got so focused on following the smells, I almost didn't see how the world actually looked in Twilight, for the screen was all darkened. But that is nowhere near what I think is the worst thing in this game, and that's Zant. The whole game builds up on Zant's menacing presence, and you stay the whole game thinking, wow, when I get to fight this guy, the shit's going to get real. But when you actually get to fight him, you find out he's just a frustrated dweeb who can't fight properly and can't move without shouting like a high-pitched spoiled brat. We can tell the developers were trying to make a joke out of it by breaking our expectations, but for a game that takes pride in being a so-called dark entry on the franchise, this joke was well out of place. But deceptions aside, this game is awesome. And one of the things that makes it awesome is fighting mechanics. The flow of sword fighting is great. and it gets even richer with the hidden skills. I feel that Twilight Princess is probably the 3D game that really brings depth into the weapons given to the player. I played a lot of Monster Hunter. I am still to play Dark Souls, but comparing to other 3D games, comparing to the Monster Hunter for example, it's not that Monster Hunter is not rich. I can bet that Dark Souls is rich too, but the flow in Twilight Princess was unprecedented, especially when it was released. I'm talking about the GameCube version. I haven't played on the Wii to know whether or not shaking the Wii remote was a distress or not, but the animations and the fighting scheme in general was really well built. Horseback fighting works really well too. Using the items and the sword while riding Epona to fight hordes of enemies is the best feeling ever. And on top of that, the boss fights are awesome. Some of my favorite boss fights in the franchise are here. They all give a feeling of huge scale. It feels freaking epic to knock Argorok out of its flight. Fighting Morpheo underwater makes the Sea Snake from Mario 64 look like an old prank that only scared you when you were a little kid. Star-Lord's Death Gaze and throwback battle music are a reminder of how Zelda can force you to be the best player you can. And all the other bosses, except for Zant, are epic too. Hey mates, this was the list of my favorite Zelda titles this far. Which ones are your favorites? Tell us in the comments. But hey, are you just as excited for Breath of the Wild as I am? We've got more videos about it if you wanna join the hype train before the launch. Ironically, on the Gaming Generations YouTube channel, I made a list of 5 things that could spoil Breath of the Wild for me. In contrast to that, in my personal channel, LeoSyron's Games, I made a video about 5 things that hyped me the most on Breath of the Wild. I also made an Avatar The Last Airbender's spoof with Breath of the Wild, and you can see my reaction to the latest trailers there. Check out these channels and our Facebook page for awesome gaming content. Bye bye my friends, and stay sharp!